Hello, my name is Adam Hossemeyer and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the lens selection and kind of my personal journey with the Canon EOS R and show you some pictures I've taken along the way. Please don't be too critical of the pictures, as I'm not a professional and I don't spend hours editing photos. I've been working with the Canon EOS R for a few months now, and I have to say I've really come to love this camera. Up until this point, I've never really tried out a Canon besides the M50. I've mainly stuck with Sony as my brand of choice. But I've always felt that there was something lacking. Although I could never really put my finger on exactly what that was, I just felt like there was something missing. Like I was wanting something that the Sony, at least in my hands, couldn't deliver. So I decided to just try out the EOS R, mainly because of the incredible deals that were happening around Christmas. I had to at least order one and try it out for a few weeks, just to see what it could deliver, and thus began my lens journey with the Canon EOS R. I started out with the kit lens, the 24-105 f4. It is arguably one of the best kit lenses on the market. I'll show you some sample pictures for demonstration. It is sharp, gives you great range for shooting. It's fairly light as compared to some of the other professional lenses. It was a good lens to start out with, as it gave me a good sense of the possibilities of the camera. A good starting point to gauge the camera's performance. While you can get some good shots with tack sharp objects and soft backgrounds, especially when it's zoomed into 105, it is what it is, a 24-105 kit lens. It's a jack of all trades and a master of none. If you are going to be using this lens for portrait photo shoots, a maximum aperture of f4 just falls just a little bit short. Not by much. The pictures won't just blow you away though. And that's really what I want when I'm doing portrait shooting. I want to be blown away. Now if I was going on vacation with my family or just doing some general shooting, this is the lens I would take with me. More important than the pictures is what the lens taught me. It opened my eyes to what I've been missing out on not using the Canon in the past. There was just something about the pictures that catch my eye. Some would argue that it's the Canon color. Maybe they're right. To be honest, I don't know what it is. I put the Canon and the Sony side by side and I can hardly tell the difference. But time and time again, I chose the pictures taken by the Canon as my favorites. I then picked up the RF 15-35, mostly for video work. While it can provide an interesting point of view, and this lens with a 2.8 aperture is a standard for landscape shooters, I just don't find myself using it much for photos. Many professional shooters shoot wide angle portraits using a 35 or even a 24mm or even wider. It's just not right for me. Now for video, this lens is a must have if you're on the EOS R system. It's pretty much an all-in-one shooter. If you're shooting in HD, it gives you a super wide shot, but if you want to punch in a little, you can use the 4K, and with the infamous crop of the EOS R, get a little closer. It's like having two lenses in one. Some would say the heavy crop of the EOS R is a drawback, and it pretty much is. But it can be turned into a positive as well, increasing the versatility when shooting video. But let's be honest here. I would prefer there to be no crop in 4K. After the purchase of these two lenses, I wanted something that would give me a little more in terms of shooting portraits. With the way I like to shoot and the photos I personally like, it left me with basically two choices. I was either going to get the EF 85mm 1.4 or go with the RF 70-200. This was a big decision for me because I'm not a pro, and dropping this kind of money on a lens is obviously a big decision and should be well thought out and researched. I have the 85 1.8 for the Sony and really like what it produced, but because these lenses are so expensive, I wanted to make sure I got the most versatile lens for the money. That's why I ended up purchasing the RF 7200. I must say, I'm really impressed with this lens. For one, it's smaller than the other 70-200 lenses, which makes it much easier to put in a backpack and carry around. I also really like the way it compresses the background and gives just the right amount of blur to an image. I think sometimes the 1.8 or lower shot wide open with extremely crushed background can be a little distracting. Of course, I want there to be a blur, but just the right amount of blur. When blur is way overdone, I think it takes away from the overall picture quality. And it's easy to do with the low f-stop lenses. Let's take a look at some pictures and I'll show you some of the differences between the 85 1.8 and the 70-200 2.8. These first two pictures were taken on the 85 1.8 Sony. As you can see, it completely destroys the background. It is great if you're really trying to separate your image from the background. The blur is so pronounced that the subject dominates the image. If this is the effect you're going for, the 85 is a great choice. In these next few images, let's take a look at some of the photos taken with the RF 70-200. I really like this lens because to me it really takes pleasing pictures and provides great versatility. From the same spot and distance away from the subject, I can take a head to toe shot, a waist up shot, and a chest up shot without having to move or reposition the subject. I guess when it comes down to it, I'm just a zoom shooter. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I really like the way these pictures turned out, because sometimes I like to bring the background in and make it part of the photo. The building in these pictures was way off in the distance. Because of the compression effect of this particular lens, it brings the background into the picture with the perfect amount of blur. Even when doing standard portraits, it brings the background forward and gives a pleasing amount of blur at 2.8. In these two photos, you can clearly see the difference between the background of the 85 and the background of the 70-200. Both of these pictures are taken from the exact same location, and it really depends on what kind of look you're going for. To me, in this instance, the 70-200 looks better. One thing is for sure, you can't get pictures that look like this with the 70-200, and you can't get pictures that look like this with the 85mm. So for now, I'm happy with my decision to go with this RF 70-200. Because I'm not a pro photographer, the price versatility ratio of the 70-200 is greater than that of the 85mm. You can bet though, I'm going to be drooling over that 85mm, and at some point I won't be able to resist. Hopefully Canon will release some more moderately priced, smaller RF primes in the 1.4 to 1.8 range. That would make more sense for a hobbyist shooter. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video on my RF lens journey. If you have, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.